because we come today to underscore that in this capital city, they are perpetrating one of the great untruths in world history. Across town, a man that lost the election is being sworn in to preside over these United States. A man that lost the vote is being sworn in to lead the nation. But just because you may turn your clock doesn't mean you got the right time. Just because you announce a title doesn't mean that is your function. Then some of his friends say, why don't y'all get over it? But we want them to know that we will not get over it because the right to vote was too painful. We had to fight too hard. We had to suffer too long. Too many people died. Too many cold nights in jail. Too many people lost their careers. You're going to have to do more, Mr. Bush, than be sworn in. You're going to have to do more than use your corporate greed. You're going to have to do more than use a police presence. You're going to have to do more than get messy with Jesse. We're not going to get over it. And those judges ought to know that we are not going to allow them to rob from us what was fought to give us in the first place. When they went into Florida, it wasn't just Florida. They've been doing this all over the United States. But when they stopped the count in Florida, they stopped any measure of credibility to the process. When they stopped the count in Florida, they replaced what they used to do with literacy tests. They no longer now ask you questions that you can't answer. They no longer ask you how many bubbles on a bar of soap. They've gone now to hanging chads and pregnant chads and can't find your name on the voter roll. But we know the political tricks because they've been used before. But just like we stopped your granddaddy from robbing us from the right to vote, we will stop you too. You've nominated John Ashcroft, a man who said that Confederates were patriots. A man that took an honorary degree from Bob Jones University. A man that fought against legislation for racial profiling. You have nominated people that think that they can turn back the clock. You thought we were asleep, but we came out in the cold today. We came out in the rain today. We came out in inclement weather today to tell you we don't care how cold it gets, how wet it gets, we're not going to let you turn us around. It was cold in Birmingham jails. It was wet on the bridge in Selma. But just like our daddies and mamas stood up, we're here today to stand up, and we won't sit down until we turn America around. Let us not forget, nothing has changed since November 7th. If there was an election today, it would still be the same voting machines breaking down in Florida. If there was an election today, they would still have the same list that don't have our names on it. We gotta leave here today not saying we just went to a march, but we've taken an oath that we're going home in state legislative bodies and in the courts and into the streets until we correct the undemocratic process that led to the selection of George Bush. We've taken an oath today that the blood of Goodman and Cheney and Swerner were not shed in vain. We've taken an oath today that Martin Luther King will not be erased from the annals of history. We've taken an oath today that Fannie Lou Hamer did not walk for nothing, that Medgar Evers didn't lay down for nothing. We've taken an oath today that we are going to turn this nation around, and it'll take more than Senior Bush or little Junior Bush to turn us around. All over this world, they're looking for us to stand up. Those that are victims of a foreign policy that gives one debt and another loans. Those that are sitting somewhere now inhaling toxic wastes because they put dumps in our communities and don't put them in other communities, and put the queen of racial profiling over the Environmental Protection Agency. They're depending on us. Those that sit on death row that are not guilty of any crime other than standing up for their rights, they're depending on us. They want to know why we're here. We're here because Mumia would be here, but he's locked up on death row. They want to know why we're here because children whose school funding is being cut from public education roll couldn't be here, but we're here for them. We're here for the martyrs that shed their blood, and we're not going home until we let the world know that we will not be turned around. There's something wrong about robbery. It's bad if I break in your house and steal your television, but it's worse if I break in your house, steal your television, you run down the block, catch me and the television, bring me to court, and the court rules there was no robbery and gives me your television. The courts have certified a robbery of the public, so the public has the responsibility to stand up. Now let me tell you something else. We have seen also, just like we've seen in struggles before, that we got to come together on this. It's not as simple as just looking at what we see, because there are those that must come across all lines and stand together. It's not just a struggle for blacks, it's a struggle for all of us, because one of the most sickening and humiliating things I've seen is to see Clarence Thomas sit on the Supreme Court and vote against the rights that sponsored his career in the first place. We must know that this is not about just black and white. It's about right and wrong. They say that the selection of Bush is the rise of the Christian right. Well, I come in the front of Amani Temple to tell you there'll be a battle between the Christian right and the right Christians. The right Christians stand up for public funding for education. The right Christians stand up for women to have self-determination over their own bodies. The right Christians stand up for those that are downtrodden to be uplifted. The right Christians stand up against racial profiling, against police brutality. The right Christians stand up against thievery at the ballot box. The right Christians stand up against mergers of big corporations at the expense of workers and laborers. The right Christians will stand up in the name of Martin Luther King, in the name of Fannie Lou Hamer, in the name of Alan Lowenstein, and say we didn't come this far to turn around now. Let me say, as we prepare to march to the Supreme Court, we're marching because that's the first stop in a long journey. This is not a symbolic march. We want you to know that we're going home with our new officers. We're all deputies of voter rights. We're in office now. Somebody said, well, they just out in the park. They need a job. We got a job. We're going to work on you for the next 4 years, George Bush. When we march to that building today, that's just to let you know that when we go home, we are going to all over America fulfill the movement of our parents. The 20th century, they confronted institutions. We must fulfill the promise of our mothers and fathers. They believed that if they could crack the door open, that we would walk through the door and make a new nation. We must fulfill that. Imagine how they fought with no modern technology, no emails, no internets, no computers, not even a fax machine. Some of them didn't even have a telephone. But they shook America up. They made America turn around. Certainly we that come more educated and more resourceful can build a movement to continue what they fought for in the first place. Let me end by reminding you, they may say, yes, there were hundreds out in Stanton Park that marched to the Supreme Court, but who are they? George Bush comes from a lineage of great American political and public figures. He's the son of a president, the son of a CIA director, son of a first lady. They think he cannot be beat with his background and awesome power. But I want you to know, Mr. Bush, you need to check out our lineage. You need to check out our background. You need to know who you fight. We are the children of Harriet Tubman. We are the children of Sojourner Truth. We're the children of Ida B. Wells. We're the children of Martin Luther King Jr. We're the children of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're the children of those that stopped the war in Vietnam. We're the children of those that turned ecology around. We beat your daddy and we gonna beat you too. Let me end by warning you. Some of you say, well, Reverend Sharpton, I may not be qualified. I don't have a big group in my town, but organize whatever you got. I don't have a big name in the newspaper, but whatever name you got, use that name. Whatever your situation, don't ignore them. Listen, whatever your situation, use that. Because somewhere I read in the Bible where God spoke to a man at a burning bush. He said, I'm not the one to go and stand up to Pharaoh because I can't speak well. He said, I don't need you to speak. I don't need your articulation. I don't need your oratory. Just open up your mouth and I'll speak for you. We come to Washington to stand in front of the bush saying we're going to tell Pharaoh to let our people go. Every time we leave the bush, God will open up the Red Sea. He'll make dry land in the middle of the Red Sea. Don't you turn back now. Don't you get discouraged now. Don't you back down now. Don't get depressed now. We've come too far from where we started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy. We had to take beatings. We had to take jailings. Nobody told me the road would be easy. But I don't believe he brought us this far to leave us now. No turning back. No selling out. no backing down, no compromise. Forward ever, backward never. We gonna stand together. We gonna win. We gonna keep our oath. We gonna turn America around. Let us stand together. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. Everybody's singing. Everybody now. Everybody's singing. Tell George Bush now. All the Republicans. We're in Washington. Everybody now gone to the Supreme Court, reporting a crime, y'all. Stole the election, but not my dignity. Got to stand up, y'all. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. One more time, y'all. I can hear you. Little bit louder. All right.
The Reverend Al Sharpton. All right, everybody okay? Now look, folks, we really need your cooperation. I want to say that very, very seriously. We need your cooperation. We're going to march soon, but not now. Everybody's going to march. Everybody's going to be in the march. So we don't need everybody to make a mad rush to the march. And we're going to see to it that Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Anthony and others are at the head of the march, okay? So I'm deputizing each and every one of you to help us keep order. No pushing, no trampling, and what have you. Now we're going to give, I need your attention, because we've got one more speaker, two more speakers, and then I'm going to come back and give instructions for the march. Very important, you'll need these instructions so you won't get arrested, okay? Everybody with me? Let's give Reverend Al Sharpton one more round of applause.
Inauguration coverage 2001 on a nasty, but it could be worse kind of day in Washington.
Where do we want justice? Where do we want it now?
On the day George W. Bush was inaugurated, tens of thousands of Americans poured into the streets of D.C. in one last attempt to reclaim what had been taken from them. They pelted Bush's limo with eggs and brought the Inauguration Parade to a halt. The plan to have Bush get out of the limo for the traditional walk to the White House was scrapped. Bush's limo hit the gas to prevent an even larger riot. No president had ever witnessed such a thing on his inauguration day.
But now that the votes are counted, it is time for the votes to count. The Vice President's lawyers have indicated he will challenge the certified election results. I respectfully ask him to reconsider.
You know something? We are going to win Florida. Mark my words. You can write it down.